Bonsoir à tous, pour tous ceux qui nous ont rejoints jusqu'à présent. Et voilà, ça continue d'arriver, donc c'est parfait. Je fais une courte introduction en français. Patrick prendra le relais pour les anglophones. Donc, je vous souhaite tous la bienvenue ce soir pour ce second Tech Live qui est organisé par Vesperia. Donc des Tech Live qu'on organise, vous le savez maintenant, régulièrement, tous les mois, un Tech Live sur des sujets très variés. Le mois dernier, on a parlé de Vue.js et de Nuxt. On aura encore une belle surprise le mois prochain. On va laisser passer les fêtes. Ce mois-ci, on a la joie d'accueillir Matthieu, IT architecte, qui va nous parler de l'utilisation de PHP dans ces nouvelles applications d'intelligence artificielle et de machine learning. Et voilà, et donc c'est dans l'esprit de Vesperia qui supporte les projets nouvelles technologies de ses clients, de pouvoir aussi contribuer à apporter de l'information à la communauté. Donc on est très heureux de le faire et j'espère que ça vous satisfera et que vous serez content d'avoir pu participer à ce live. Je vais finir en français avant de laisser la parole à Patrick. Vous avez un chat à droite sur lequel vous avez la possibilité d'intervenir, donc de poser des questions à Matthieu ou de faire des remarques. Vous avez le droit de liker ou de disliker si ça ne vous plaît pas. Voilà, et on se fera un plaisir, Matthieu peut-être au fil de l'eau, ou bien à la fin de son intervention de vous répondre. Voilà, merci à tous et puis je vous souhaite un bon live.
Hello everybody and welcome here at this second Tech Live event which is being organized by Vesperia. We're very pleased tonight to have Matthieu Vallance as our guest speaker with the subject that you have seen, talking to us about machine learning and AI, and more specifically on how to use this if you are coding in PHP. So for the house rules, you will be able to ask some questions. Please use the chat for that. The chat is to your bottom right. And all questions will be answered later after the presentation. We'll try not to interrupt Matthieu, who of course has the power and the liberty to independence to ask you questions or to ask you to contribute. If you see things that you like, you also have some emojis that you can use to put some thumbs up or other reactions, like when you like something very much, which is being said. It's a great pleasure for us and honor to have Matthieu. Matthieu, the floor is yours.
Okay, let's start to share my screen. Okay, so hi everybody, welcome to this presentation on artificial intelligence and its usage in PHP application. Hope it will be fun to discover it with you. But first, a little word about myself. I'm Matthieu Vallance. I'm a technical architect at Map System, where we create PM system and data management application. I'm a PHP developer since a long time now, specialized in Symfony application, event-driven and Kafka architecture enthusiast. Something I try to promote in my current job and something I already created on previous job. And tonight we will speak about artificial intelligence. So we have some guideline. Let's say what's the goal of an artificial intelligence, what we can do with it. Then we will dig in what is a neural network exactly, how it presents, how it's work. Then the PHP system requirements we need to use the artificial neural network, and finally how to create it, how to use it step by step. So first, what's the goal of the AI? It will focus on business, what it means. We will be able to create with AI some intelligent services, some intelligent products that can detect the need of the clients or help to take decision for the algorithm. It's used in a wide range of domains, like laboratories for genetics, for disease detection, etc. It's used in banking to prevent fraud, and in hardware factories for management. It's already used in reinforced learning strategies such as Google AI or AWS. But what is exactly an artificial neural network? What we think is it's a system that understands what we say, that create statistics, and it can be used by companies to detect our behaviors, maybe. But what's really an artificial neural network? What we will see is the ANN, artificial neural network. With PHP, we will use a library that allows us to create a network with multiple nodes. Each node is called a neuron. So we will have different layers. Each one will have its responsibility and will be linked with other layers. We will have an input layer where we will give the data we want to manage. Then several hidden layers that will guess, that will use a statistic to define what we will have in the output layer. The output layer will give us the result of the interpretation of the neural network. We have interconnection between each node of each layers, where each node will have a weight on the connection with the other layers. Each node will also have an activation function. So this is pure mathematics. The activation function can be defined by ourselves or can be guessed by the neural network. And the weight is expected to be discovered automatically during the training process. We can define specific connection between each layer, each node in the layer when we want to refine the results. And we will have a training algorithm that will allow us to work on different behavior before we will have multiple possibilities to train the neural network. So how to create an artificial network? It will depend on the methodology we want to use during the training. There is three main possibilities, three main methodologies. The supervised learning, where we will have a data set, so a list of information we will provide to train the artificial neural network. And then we will use the artificial neural network to independently guess a result from new data. In supervised learning, we have, with our dataset, the expected result. So we will train the artificial neural network with the input, and the network will know what the expected output. So by trying, by error, it will learn how to detect, how to assign to each node connection a weight and an activation function. There is also the unsupervised learning, where we will not give to the network any dataset. So it will not have entry, it will not have output, expected output, but we want this network to discover by itself the patterns to use between nodes with activation function, with weight, etc. In this case, we will have to use reinforced learning, so we will have to give to the neural network a reward. This one can be negative or positive, allowing the artificial neural network to understand if it's go wrong or if it's success. In this presentation, we will use supervised learning. So we will provide a data set with the expected output, and our network will have to find a way to connect each node in each layer with a specific weight, etc., to find the more accurately possible the expected result. What we will use to create an artificial network will be, for sure, PHP, at least 5.2, up to PHP 8, and a library called libfan, at least 2.1 version. libfan, that is fast artificial neural network. It's written in C, and with PHP we will have an extension that gives us access to the method of the libfan library. Okay, let's take a look. First here. So what is libfan? What is fan extension in PHP? So this extension will give us a large set of functions that allow to create an artificial neural network, where we will be able to define how many nodes we want in input, how many nodes we want in output, and how many layers we will have in the network. What we need to understand is that a neural network is basically based on mathematics. So we will have to give it numbers in input, and we will have numbers in output. And this is based on our dataset. So, how to select a dataset? It needs to present a good sample of data. For sure, if you want your neural network to be able to guess, to find a good result, you have to train it with a large set of elements that represent each possibilities. And then the neural network, by iteration, will learn how to create communication between nodes. A graphical representation of the data present in our dataset can give us a good overview of the data repartition. We can find a variety of resources publicly, like on Data Hub, or for Luxembourg on data.public.lu. What we will use here for this presentation is a dataset based on abalones. So abalones are some shells that you can see on the upper right corner. This dataset is dedicated for machine learning, so it's why I choose it on the Data Hub. It contains more than 4,000 of individual characteristics, including size, length, diameter, etc. We have lots more characteristics in this dataset, but what I want to achieve with my artificial neural network is guess the age of an abalone based on his sex, his length, his diameter, his height, and worldwide. Why do I want my neural network to be able to get the age based on these characteristics? In the dataset, what we will see is that we have a lot more characteristics, and some characteristics are painful for the shell to be known. So we want to be able to detect, to get a statistical possibility of the age based on external observation. In this sample, in this dataset, what we have is a large range of mid-age abalones. That means the artificial network we will create will be more accurate for mid-age. That's a bias of the dataset, and that's why it's really important to find the datasets that have a good representation of all the individuals we want to operate on. But first, we have to prepare the dataset. At this point, it could be interesting to take a look on the dataset itself. So here is the file, the original file from Data Hub. If we take a look inside, we can see that we have information on the sex as male, female, or infant, and a set of numbers where we have the length, the height, etc., and the age of the abalone. So as I said, we have lots of data. But considering the neural network based on mathematics, on numbers, we will have to find a way to inform the neural network that this set, this row is a male, that this row is a female, etc. So here we have to extract the information of each row to convert the data from maybe human readable information, depending on the dataset, and convert it to node consumable information. Then we will have also to define the expected result for each row. What I mean by expected result. As neural network is based on statistics, it will give us for each age the percentage, the possibility of this age to be the good one based on the input information. In this dataset, what I know is I have from age 0 to age 29. That means I have 29 possible age, and the neural network will give me for each age a possibility of this age be the corresponding age for the input information. If we take a look at the created training file, we can see that I have for each row the input I will give to the neural network during the training, the input information. Sorry. So I chose to give to the neural network on the input layer the information of is it a male, is it a female, is it an infant, as an information for 3 nodes. So one node will be responsible for male, one will be for female, one for infant, and then I have a node for the length, oops, a node for the age, etc., and the expected output with 29 nodes in output with the possibility for each age based on the input. So you can see on the first line that I have 2089 rows. Yes, because it's not 4000 because you have to clean the data for irrelevant information. You will have in the dataset some information that are out of bound. So you have to clean the dataset. We have 7 nodes in input as the 7 information I want to give to the neural network, and 29 nodes in output, the 29 value we have here. So that's the part for the data representation. You have to base on statistics to discover on the dataset what the expected output, for sure. And then you will be able to use this file for your neural network training, and then use your neural network to get information based on the input without providing output. Then we will have to train the algorithm. We will see how to create it at the same element, the same way. And to train the artificial neural network, we will have to find first a training algorithm. It exists 5 training algorithms in the find library. Maybe one is better than another, so we will have to test and find the best one. Then we will have to define an activation function for our nodes in the layers, to define how many layers we want, and then we have to try, maybe more, maybe less. And when we have selected the training algorithm, the activation function, then we can refine the result by telling the time, the iteration we allow the network to use during the training, and the desired error. So let's take a look at how to train and how to create our network. This one, yes. So Here we can see, maybe like this, better, yes. Here we can see that I will create an artificial neural network and give it a heap of layers. This is an object, yes, but if you look inside, it will use the fan library, as it's just a set of functions, to create an artificial neural network, and it will assign to it the layers we want in our network. So here, I'm creating an artificial neural network with an input layer, the place where I will inject the information with our 7 nodes, then 3 hidden layers that will be tuned by the training, for the weight, for the activation function, etc. And then the output layer with our 29 possible age. And I will train my artificial neural network based on our training file data. So the system inside will use the file on the artificial neural network with an iteration limit and a desired error. It's a squared count, where the system will give the first line. So when I say first line is this one, yes, not the header, will give first line to the artificial network, we'll let it execute, then check the results. And each time the artificial neural network will success on the detection for the expected result, the algorithm, so it's depend of the algorithm, that's why we will try multiples, will give a reward to the neural network, so we'll increment an internal variable that say, okay, it's fine. And when the training reach the maximum iteration, this 200 is too low. It's just for the presentation. Yeah. So when the training will reach the max iteration or the desired error, it will stop the training. The system will consider the artificial neural network is sufficiently trained, so we can save the artificial neural network in a file to be resumed in another process. So it's relatively difficult to read as it's pure mathematics, but we can save it. Then this artificial neural network can be used, this one, to check the data. So here, what I will do is try multiple algorithms to find the more accurate one, and then I will load each artificial neural network created by each algorithm and run it on the file to find the more accurate algorithm. And then I will select this algorithm and use it to define the activation function I want to use in my nodes. Let's see. Algorithm, select. So here, the system will try each algorithm, and we will use the saved artificial neural network to check each algorithm accuracy. So here we can see that for each algorithm, we have some more accurate than others. We have incremental algorithm. We have quick prop. We can see here that the quick prop is better with the batch than the others. It's not representing the reality because we have just 200 iterations. We will have more accuracy with 16,000 iterations, but it will not take 2 seconds to execute. What I know from my weekend is that AirProp is better. So it's one I will use to select the right activation function. So here in our training procedure, we have find by iteration the training algorithm. That's the point 1. Then to find the activation function, we will use exactly the same logic with the activation function set. Then we will load our artificial neural network the same way. So here we have a little difference on layer definition. I discovered that 3 layers is too many. And we will give for each layer an activation function and try to find the best one using the AirProp algorithm. So here the same, we will train on a file. The same 200 is too low, yes, but it's just to test. Save the neural network and use a validation procedure with the activation algorithm to check on the neural network loaded from the file which one is more accurate. So the same way. We will execute the training for each activation function. And then check for each one, which one is the more accurate. Okay. So here we can see we have a good performance with Gaussian symmetric. That's fine, because it's the same result I have with 16,000 of iteration. What we have to understand is for each problem, there is a better activation function. For this specific problem, the Gaussian symmetric activation function is better. So we will start to use it with our artificial neural network and train our network with more iteration, less desired errors, and so forth. to get an accurate neural network. Okay, so we have to pay attention in the artificial intelligence that if we have a neural network that is 100% accurate, then maybe this neural network is overtrained on the specific data set we give it. The same way error is human behavior, we have to give our neural network a possibility to fail. Because when a neural network that is 100% accurate reach new data, maybe it will fail because he don't know this data and he know only the data it's trained for. So here we think how to train an artificial neural network, that's fine. But at no any point we think what's the output. We know that we have maybe in the execute, yes, better. We know that we have seven nodes in our input, so we can only give it 7 information. And what we will have in result is a possibility for each age on our 29 output nodes. If we take a look at the real result, the execute.php, so that's the result of the execution for this specific information. What we really have is for each possible age from 0 to 29. I don't know where is 29. I sorted the output to have the more relevant in front. We can see that our neural network will guess that the information we give is potentially around 8 or 7 years old. So that is the output we have from the neural network. It's all about statistics. Okay. So you can have this this project directly on GitHub with the Docker file to create the environment of execution. The Docker file itself creates a container that is in PHP 5.6. The support for PHP 7 and PHP 8 was not available at the time I created the first presentation, this presentation. So it's based on 5.6. And you can get the project source files on my personal GitHub. Yes, I can, for sure. I will copy paste the GitHub on the channel. This one. Okay. Okay, so that's it for the presentation. Maybe we can take some time for the questions. Christophe.
Thank you, Matthieu. Is there any question? You can ask anything to Matthieu, writing in the chat. Thank you, Nicolas.
Thank you.
No question. I think people have their personal neural network burning this time.
What is the best way to determine if PHP is good language to AI? In fact, it will depend of what you want to what's your goal with the data you have. As we've seen here with our neural network, we can give to PHP, to libfan at least, some information in output. That is formally information numbers from -1 to 1 that the statistic function needs. But there is no relation between these data. I mean, if you want to work with a neural network that is able to guess information about 3D informations like 3D points or whatever, then you will need a data representation that you can give to the artificial network. And in this case, the libfan will not be sufficiently evolved to this kind of data. So PHP is a good language for artificial intelligence if you have simple data set. But if you have complex information with data representation, with information other than -1 to 1, then maybe you have to find another library, another language like TensorFlow, like others. So there is no best way for simple data. But if you have complex information, you have to use other language, other libraries. So for complex data, we know how to say it's not the best way.
Matthieu, there is a question from Abba. What is the limit that we can say we will use artificial intelligence, not the traditional PHP programming?
That's the traditional PHP programming. I'm not sure I get the point. We will use AI, not the traditional PHP programming. What I understand by traditional PHP programming is algorithm a developer can create. Okay, so based on this, on my understanding of this question, I will give an answer. AI will give us statistics that can be used to understand natural elements like abalone growing. like abalone informations that come from biodiversity. It cannot be guessed out other than with statistics. So here, artificial intelligence is interesting because we cannot just say if length is upper than 10, that it means the age is 5. No, we cannot do that. We need statistics. Is there other question? How do you determine the number of hidden layers? Alors, so it depends of the activation function and the ability for the neural network to understand, to get the output based on the input. So the best way with this example is just to try and see if it's better. I'm sure scientists have better methods, but I don't know them.
For the next presentation. In German.
In German. More difficult. One rule will be to go from the input layer to the output in a natural way by multiplying by 2, for example. You should not create a sinusoid with each layer.
Is there any other library that you recommend checking out? I saw there's Rubik's ML, which seems to be very powerful.
Rubik's ML.
Do you know it?
For PHP. Okay. No, I don't know it. Personally, I like how TensorFlow works, but it's not PHP. But if I would recommend something, it's at least to read the documentation, to see how the data interpretation representation can be done.
Mm-hmm.
But still, it's not in PHP. Sorry.
Okay. No more question? From what
the training should be done out of the runtime environment, but the execution of an existing neural network is very light. Here I have everything at the same place, but the execution of the neural network is the only element we have in runtime. We can add for reinforced learning data in a data lake, in a database, then try our neural network on another server, on another environment. But the runtime environment, the production environment should just execute the neural network run method, not the training. But the execution is really light.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Okay. So if there is no more question, I suggest to close the live. Matthieu, something more to say? No?
No.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Matthieu, for your performance.
You're welcome.
Thank you to all of you. I think keep connected to Vesperia, and we will present some more lives in the next month. So we will enjoy to have you live, and bye-bye. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.